The Israeli military said it was checking the report. Another 26 people were reportedly killed in strikes elsewhere in Gaza on Thursday, as Israeli and Hamas delegations continued negotiations for a new ceasefire and hostage release deal at indirect talks in Doha. Despite optimism expressed by the US, which is acting as a mediator, along with Qatar and Egypt, they do not so far seem to have come close to a breakthrough. On Wednesday night, a senior Israeli official told journalists in Washington that it would take 1 or 2 weeks to reach an agreement. Back home in Nigeria, the Supreme Court has affirmed the election of Monday Okpebholo as governor of Edo State in the 2024 governorship election. Today, a 5-member panel of the Apex Court, led by Mohammed Garba, dismissed as lacking in merit an appeal by Asue Ighodalo, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), to nullify the outcome of the governorship election that held in the state of September 21, 2024. Justice Garba said the appellants failed to prove that Okpebholo did not secure lawful votes in the election and did not properly demonstrate that the decision of the tribunal and the Court of Appeal was perverse. He therefore dismissed the appeal for lacking in merit. The judgment affirms the decision of the tribunal and the Court of Appeal. We'll bring you more details as this story unfolds. Meanwhile, troops of Operation Hadinkai have neutralized 24 Boko Haram terrorists in coordinated operations across Borno State. A statement by the Acting Deputy Director of Army Public Relations Headquarters Theatre Command, Operation Hadinkai, Captain Ruben Kuvangia, today said the operations conducted between July 4 and July 9 involved a collaboration between land and air component of Operation Hadinkai, the Civilian Joint Task Force, and hunters. The statement further disclosed that troops conducted a night ambush on the same day at terrorist hideouts around the Kawuri General area in Kanduga local government, where they came into contact with the insurgents. Accordingly, on July 7, 2025, troops sprang another ambush following an intelligence report close to Sabsawa village. During the operation, troops made contact with terrorist logistics suppliers and successfully neutralized 2 insurgents. On exploitation of the area, the troops recovered bicycles, sacks of sleepers, several torchlights, batteries, detergent, salt and rubber shoes, amongst other sundry items. In a recent development, the Apex Igbo socio-cultural body, Ohanaeze Ndigbo, has revealed that quiet diplomatic engagements are underway between President Bola Tinubu, the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, and select Igbo leaders aimed at securing the unconditional release of Nnamdi Kanu, detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB. In a statement issued on Wednesday and signed by Mazi Okechukwu Isiguzoro, the Deputy President General of Ohanaeze Ndigbo, and Chief Thompson Ohia, the group's national spokesman, the organization stated that it is committed to transparency and felt obligated to update the Igbo public on the ongoing back-channel discussions. According to the Ohanaeze, the initiative is being led by Senator Umahi with the full backing of the organization and Igbo leadership. While Kanu's representatives are not yet formally part of the process, the group has promised to bring them in at a later stage to ensure openness and unity amongst all stakeholders. The group urged pro-Biafra agitators to suspend protests and inflammatory rhetoric, assuring them that no political conditions will be tied to Kanu's release. Ohanaeze also cautioned against attacks on Umahi or the federal government, stating that such criticisms are either based on misinformation or self-interest in Kanu's prolonged detention. The group concluded by urging President Tinubu to do what is just and right for the sake of posterity, noting that the release of Kanu would be a historic move that could unite the nation. Still on Nnamdi Kanu, Reno Omokri, a social media commentator and former presidential aide, has alleged that the IPOB leader ordered the killing of over 50 soldiers, 24 policemen and many civilians in the southeast part of the country. Reno Omokri spoke on Wednesday during a television interview when he was reacting to a comment by former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi, who stated that the ongoing trial of Nnamdi Kanu does not make sense. Omokri claimed that he has video evidence of the IPOB leader directing his supporters to carry out the heinous crimes. He also alleged that in the video, Kanu ordered the Lagos state should be burnt down. Countering Peter Obi's assertion, Omokri justified the trial of Kanu, questioning why the former presidential candidate allegedly failed to condemn the activities of IPOB and unknown gunmen in the southeast. Let's now take a listen to Reno Omokri during a television interview where he made these assertions.
I played you a video which we cannot play because of the NBC. Can you testify that you heard the video? Can you tell your audience?
I heard the video.
Now, you heard him telling his supporters to kill policemen, to kill soldiers, to burn down Lagos. After he gave that video, do you know how many police and how many soldiers have died in the southeast? Over 50. As a matter of fact, there was a couple, an army couple, her name was Gloria Matthews, her husband was Linus. They were killed and beheaded in Imo. Do you know who killed Ahmed Gulak in Imo? Who killed Harira Jubril with her 4 underage children? 160 police stations were shut down in the southeast. Why? Because IPOB, UGM, unknown gunmen, and ESN, they attacked them. They killed over 24 policemen. And then you are saying that the trial of a person who ordered this does not make sense. Look, as I speak to you right now, Finland is trying Simon Ekpa. Simon Ekpa is not even as guilty as Nnamdi Kanu. He has not done a half of what Nnamdi Kanu has done. Is Peter Obi going to tell the Finnish government that the trial...
Nnamdi Kanu is still not found guilty yet because he's facing trial.
Yes, but I can give my opinion. This is not fact. This is an opinion. Is Peter Obi going to tell the Finnish government that the trial of Simon Ekpa does not make sense? Look, Peter Obi gives an opinion on everything that happens in Nigeria, but he did not talk about the trial of Simon Ekpa. He did not condemn it. He did not condemn what Simon Ekpa did. So this man has separatist tendencies. He has never condemned the Monday sit at home. In fact, when he goes to Anambra, he obeys it. Look, if you are a policeman, if you are a soldier, is this the kind of commander-in-chief that you want to have? Somebody who says that a person who ordered the killing of your brothers in arms, his trial does not make sense? No. And then he lied about the convoy. He said that the trial of Nnamdi Kanu does not make sense. Listen, I played you a video which we cannot play because of the...
That was Reno Omokri, a social media commentator, actually speaking, according to him, on the atrocities that Nnamdi Kanu has committed. In the meantime, the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, has cautioned critics of the Bola Tinubu administration against underestimating the president's leadership and commitment to transforming Nigeria, insisting that such critics belong to the past era with outdated ideas and failed records. Ribadu spoke on the day the African Democratic Congress, ADC, accused the presidency of fabricating claims of an alleged plot to overthrow President Tinubu's administration, alleging that it was a deliberate strategy to justify the repression of opposition leaders. Now joining me to speak on these developments in the news, I have Achike Chude, who is the NUJ National Secretary General. It is an immense pleasure to have you join me on the World News at 12 this afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, sir. You're live on radio. This is Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's begin with the optimism that the Ohanaeze Ndigbo is actually showing, where they're saying that the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, has assured them that he is in conversation with President Tinubu to ensure the unconditional release of Nnamdi Kanu. We know that his case has been going to court back and forth. At some point, he asked the judge, Justice Binta Nyako, that was on his case, to recuse herself, as he was not sure he would get justice from her and from that court. It's been a lot of back and forth ever since he was brought back to Nigeria, ever since his extraordinary rendition. Do you really believe that this administration will let him go?
I can't say because nobody knows. We can only speculate about certain things, but I think it is good that the government looks into this matter. Of course, you know that a lot of people have been talking, especially when some other, ethnic, pro-ethnic nationalists, were pardoned seemingly, or were pardoned by the federal government. So people expected that the same thing, benevolence would also be extended to Nnamdi Kanu. Now everybody wants a Nigeria that works. Everybody wants a Nigeria that is peaceful. Because without peace, you cannot, move the country forward, and we need to develop, obviously. So anything that will bring about peace development, it's something that we must embrace as much as possible. And so it's a good thing. The conversation is holding, even based on your reports, that it would appear the government is looking at it. Otherwise, this report will not emanate that from government circles that Umahi is discussing with the federal government in that direction. Unconditional release, and I think that is a good one. But power must also comes with responsibility. I cannot be deceived into thinking that it is unconditional, that people will also not advise Nnamdi Kanu, on certain things in terms of maybe his utterances and, some of the things he says. This is a time for healing as much as possible. And then he has a lot of work to do in the Southeast. He also has to go, to try and see that, he can bring relative peace to that region. But he will also find one of the things he will discover is that he's not in control. Yes, he's still influential, especially among the younger people. But when it comes to ensuring total peace, a lot of water has passed under the bridge since his incarceration. So he's going to meet a completely different situation on ground in the Southeast. But that is not to say that he will not have any influence at all. He would have an influence. But we hope that if that release eventually happens, that he, with other people from the Southeast, and the government will work towards bringing about just, peace in the entire Southeast.
Do you really believe that his release can bring peace to the Southeast? Because just yesterday we're getting reports of gunmen in Anambra State going on rampage, killing people, burning vehicles. In fact, last week there was a video that circulated where some gunmen, after carrying out heinous acts, released a video showing their weapons, and actually, they were disparaging the Nigerian security agents and saying that they could not get them. We have unknown gunmen in the Southeast. There is so many different checkpoints, killings, kidnappings. Can his release actually curb this? Has it not gotten out of hand?
Yeah. I tried to answer that a bit in my last response, but the issue is there is all manners of. The question you have to ask yourself is: these killings that are taking place, what are they for? What is the motivation? Is it killings that are based on specific or particular ideological leanings, based on certain political demands, or is it criminality for the sake of criminality? Because when you talk about these killings, for instance, we're also talking about kidnapping for ransom. That is not an indication of a group that is being motivated by politics, but rather by some level of criminality. So I will look at it from that perspective. But I also told you that when Nnamdi Kanu is released, it's how many years now since his incarceration, he's going to find out that the dynamics have changed in the Southeast to a very large extent. If he was very, very influential in the Southeast before, he is still very influential. But there are other elements that have also gotten into the fray in the Southeast and are also causing problems. These elements are likely not going to listen to him when he makes a call, for peace. So if they don't listen to him and they continue to do what they have always done, cause problems here and there, what we cannot do, how will he engage them? Is he going to fight fire with fire? More violence, more killings and all that. So it's going to be a dilemma for him. Ultimately, it has to go beyond just the physical threat of violence or the fear of violence in the Southeast. There must be a way. One must be able to identify the very people that are causing all of these problems, and then see how to also engage with them and negotiate with them. But for those who are criminally minded and motivated by pecuniary interest, no amount of pleading will do the trick, because there are other things that are motivating them, self-interest, and they will move along the line of self-interest.
There are certain broadcasts that he made, before this whole situation began, that the federal government is really using to hold him by the jugular. This is a man that's been tried for terrorism. The person who also claimed to be following in his footsteps, Simon Ekpa, is also being tried for terrorism in Finland. Now, Reno Omokri has come out to actually hit back at Peter Obi, saying, why would he say that the trial of Nnamdi Kanu does not make sense, looking at the plethora of crimes that he claims that this man has committed? Is it really really possible that with all of these crimes that he's been said to have committed, he can just be let go just like that to placate the Southeasterners?
When a matter, I mean, we saw what happened in the Niger Delta. You understand, pipelines were being vandalized, and then there was violence here and there. At the time, it devolved into kidnappings and all that. But what did the government do? The government, once a matter becomes intractable, then you realize that you have to look for other ways, other solutions, and that it is not always the military option, the option of force, that would, bring peace, bring about peace. So you can use some force as a leverage, to also let the other side realize that you have the capacity to also be a problem to them. But ultimately, you have to sit back, you have to, talk. Reno Omokri personally is not somebody I take serious. If you look at his track record, he's neither here nor there. He doesn't stand for anything, And there's also a possibility that tomorrow you will see him singing Peter Obi's tune or singing some other person's tune, So such people should not be given the kind of prominence, that they are being given. For me, in Nigeria's political space, anybody that is motivated to foment trouble or to create instability within the system. It's not somebody that we need in this country at this time. We need peace builders. We need people that are willing to speak the truth and to speak it in ways that might be a bit uncomfortable, but in ways that are respectful of the sensibilities, of the various people that make up this country. That's what we need. So I usually would not even want to respond to him. He's an unserious person. He doesn't stand for anything. He's inconsistent, and it's not the kind of person that I think we should waste our energy, our breath on. All of those accusations that he has made, he cannot prove anything. And so if the government decides in their wisdom, if the president is in his wisdom, and maybe based on what people have been telling him, decides to maybe give it a shot, then who is Reno Omokri, to say that the president doesn't know what he's doing, or that people suing for peace, do not know what they are doing. When in any conflict that gets to a particular point, and then you cannot resolve it immediately, militarily, and so on, then you need to begin to look for other means to resolve it. The issue of sit-at-home in the Southeast has been on for so long that no government has been able to bring it about, to bring an end, a cessation to it. That means that you have to look for a solution outside of the normal channels of government.
Thank you so much. Just before we go on this particular topic, some politically inclined Nigerians are expecting that the president may pull this before the 2027 elections to actually sway the minds of Southeast voters, even though the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, said last weekend that it is not even a criteria at all, and the president is not thinking in that area. But do you know that in politics, anything is possible?
Anything is possible with politicians. They are politicians. So, of course, if that is the case, they are not going to come out and tell us that is the reason. They remain mere speculations. These things are possible, but there are no guarantees. There are no guarantees that if Nnamdi Kanu comes out and he says, with regards to the election, go in this direction, that everybody in the Southeast will tell them to go in this direction. Don't also forget that the people of the Southeast have this peculiar disposition to being led by specific people. People have often said that they are more of Republican, and so that also ensures that not one person at any particular point in time can dominate Southeast politics, except for two people in the past, two prominent sons of the Southeast, who have been able to have that kind of impact. You're talking of the former first president of Nigeria, Nnamdi Kanu, and Dumego Ojukwu. Apart from those ones, there is no other person in the Southeast that has been able to enjoy the support, the broad-based support of the people of the Southeast. You remember how Ojukwu started off the civil war, rebellion, and all that happened. And then he came back and became a nationalist and was talking about the progress of Nigeria, after he had been pardoned. So these are the stages, the steps that we think, that we should depart, that we think that we should do if we want a country that will move away from all of these parochialism and move along the path of growth. Our politicians need to do much more. They need to show a lot more sensibility and responsibility. We have not seen a lot of it. Most of the divisions in this country are political divisions created by members of the political class to satisfy certain political interests. So that kind of disposition is not good for the well-being of the Nigerian state and the Nigerian people.
With the amount of insecurity ravaging different parts of the country, I want to actually look at the role of the governors in ensuring the security of lives and properties of the people in their state. Recently, Governor Soludo of Anambra State came out to say that 99% of kidnappers in Anambra are not from other regions, but that they are Igbo youths who are engaged in criminality and crime. IPOB was not happy with that. Quite a number of youths have come out to say that this is not the case. They're not happy with the governor. As it seemed, he was trying to deflect or shift the blame to his own people so that he doesn't take accountability for the lives and properties of the people that he's leading.
Anything is possible, but we must also not be impervious of the fact that the governor could be working on certain security information and intelligence that some of us do not have. So there's a possibility that it is true, there's a possibility that it is exaggerated, but the reality is that you can't have this level of mayhem and violence in the southeast without people from the southeast being involved. There have also been incidences, and you see it on the videos of incidences where people were captured in parts of the southeast for acts of violence and killings. And then in their confession, it was clear that they were not from the southeast. So you have a lot of people, from the southeast most likely, and then people from outside. But in terms of the percentage, we are not exactly sure. The percentage from the president, 99%, from the governor, 99% seems a bit far-fetched. But like I said, he has information that maybe some of us do not have.
All right, then let's quickly talk about the ADC coalition and how the APC has been reacting to that. The National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu is of the opinion that the opposition may be underestimating the president ahead of 2027, and also that they seem to have shown their deck of cards. We've seen their cards, we've seen what they are trying to play, we've seen the people in the opposition. But the ADC is not very happy with this administration at this moment, not just because they want to come into power in 2027, but because of a particular statement, a word used by the president's special advisor, Bayo Ononuga, when he said that they are seeking to overthrow the president. Using words like overthrow in a democracy, the ADC feels like that's the recipe for anarchy, and that they are trying to put targets on their back. Maybe a clampdown or a crackdown, or even going as far as arrest of the opposition coalition figures.
Well, the president has said several times that he's a Democrat. People can question that, and people have been questioning that. But again, some weeks ago, he said, remember what he said, and I think a lot of journalists were happy with that. He said he has not sent the security agents to harass people who are criticizing him. So I hope that the security agencies took that from the president, that he has not sent anybody to harass journalists and media people. So I think that was a good one for the president. Whether they live up to it is another thing. But if there's a violation of that, we will remind the president of what he said. From Bayo Ononuga, I don't know. I think that maybe if he thinks about what he said, he might come to the conclusion that he should have put it in different way.
He later deleted the post, actually.
Good. You see, because exactly where I'm going, I didn't even know that he had deleted the post. But that's why I said that if he goes back to that post, he'll be circumspect that he used the wrong thing, because these are weighty allegations. If you say that they want to remove the president before 2027, that means you are saying that they want to forcefully remove the president in an unconstitutional manner. And that would be a situation of anarchy, and that would be exceedingly very wrong. And we do not want the president to be removed before 2027. There is a process for removal of the president, from office, and that is through the ballots. And so what people should be talking about is how to ensure that the ballot, the sanctity of the ballot, is respected, and that the politicians behave themselves and allow the people to have a say on how they are governed. I think that is the way to go. So the ADC, the response was not bad. It was mature that they are not going to remove the president with bullet, that they are going to do that through the ballot box. That is what is Onanuga, removed that tweet. Otherwise, if you make that kind of tweet, it means that you're acting with the position that is holding in government, that is acting on information that that should ensure that they involve the security agencies to try to find out those who are trying to remove the president before 2027. But he has removed it. He's removed the removal of the tweet. Obviously, is an admission that of error, that he shouldn't have spoken in that manner. So we don't want the politicians to unnecessarily hit the political space in the country. We have a lot of challenges, too many challenges, and our attention should be focused, on these challenges. You remember what Jonathan said? It just reminds one of what Jonathan said. Jonathan, after he came to power, he was saying, look, let's have a single 6-year term, because he has realized that immediately a person becomes president, that he just does his job for about 2 years, and after that politics takes place. So you can see the politics has heated up. We still have 2 years, to 2027, but everybody is now concentrating on the politics of 2027, and there's no way governance will not suffer. So we expect much more responsibility from our political class.
We expect more responsibility, not just from our political class, starting from the president. Actually, you said something at the beginning of this, your last response, saying we should hold the president by his words, as he said over and over again that he's a Democrat, and right now he has said he did not send security agencies to harass anyone. But guess what? While campaigns were going on, the president also promised the people electricity. Take a listen to this. All right, I don't want us to wait for too long, but he goes ahead to say in that particular recording, saying, if I do not give you stable electricity before, don't vote for me by 2027. But what we are seeing now, is it what the president promised? I'm talking about this because you said we should hold the president by his words.
Well, the people, when the late Yaradua came to power, he used one word, to describe himself, the servant of the people, the people's servant. That's what we expect of our politicians. We know that our politics has not developed to advance to that level where they can actually be, the servants of the people. Ultimately, when the president says they should hold him responsible, he was acknowledging something, and acknowledging the fact that he will be judged eventually. That the ultimate judge when it comes to his performance in government is not his political party, it's not even the opposition party, it's going to be the people, and that will happen. That examination will be written during the election. If he has done well, they will give him a pat on the back, give him a B, a C, a pass to bring him back to power. If he has not done well, then the people themselves will have to decide whether he has worked enough to be brought back to power, whether she should be removed through the ballot box. That's why it's more important. It's all the more important to ensure that to ensure the sanctity of the ballot box, that the votes would actually count. So the people will have to judge him. Obviously, things are not. There's the issue of electricity. They have not. They don't also forget that they're also saying that 4 years is not enough to make changes. But we remember that he was not forced to say the things that he was saying at that particular point in time, and that the day of judgment will come. And that day of judgment is May 27th, when the election, I think, is going to take place. Then the people themselves, if they have been given pens and barrels, will now be the ones to mark his support card. And they will also be able to judge the opposition whether they think that these people are also responsible enough and good enough to replace him. And so these are the issues. Is the people that will take. So regardless of my position, about what has happened, it's the people that would. I think the people are more important. They will be the ones to take that decision.
All right, then. Thank you so much, I really appreciate you. I know that we called upon you so suddenly, but thank you so much for actually availing us of your time, sir, at Chike Chude. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you this afternoon. We hope when we call on you next time, you answer us.
Well, it's an obligation for us to speak out. I want our country to be better.
Thank you so much, and we'll continue to hold the government of the day accountable to ensure that they keep to the promises they made to Nigerians while they were campaigning. Thank you and have an amazing day, sir.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have been speaking with Sir Chike Chude, who's the NUJ Secretary General. We've been talking about certain issues on the news. Still on the world news at 12, as Nigerians grapple with the economic situation of the country, VOP News went on the street of Lagos to inquire about the prices of food items, tomatoes, peppers, a lot of food items that Nigerians eat every single day, to know how much they cost now and how Nigerians are actually managing themselves. And this report is coming from our correspondent Adeola Adelusi. Let's take a listen.
First and foremost, this is not the season of plantain. As we know, there is seasons of each commodity. So for the price is varies. So it's still moderate now because it's not the season. But the price is still coming down gradually. But by August, September, there will be plantain, which a normal person, a family can afford the one of 1,500. Comment on that because I don't know. It might be it might be in a commercial situation from the farmers himself. But we that are buying from the farmers, we can't say. It's the farmers that will determine if the government has given them a subsidized price for that.
Like rice, beans, and other things. The price has not gone down. It's even increasing day by day.
Like last 3 months, the thing reduced, like bags of rice reduced, but this time now, every time I've added money again. Like we are getting rice like 60 something thousand before, but now it's now 90 plus. So we are not understanding what is happening, whether it's still going to increase again, and people is no longer buying like they are buying before. So everybody is complaining. I don't think so. I don't think whether they invested in agriculture. Maybe they invested, but it's not like they did not reach us. It's Judas Sky.
My name is Bashir, and I'm selling onions, pepper, tomatoes. So the price that we have bought onions before and now is different. Before we have buy low quantities, but now we are buy higher quantities now. Not true. As government said, this market, they don't reduce the cost of this market, because before we have bought it lower quantity, but now it don't high.
Many thanks to our correspondent Adeola Adelusi for that report on the current cost of commodities and food items across Lagos market. You have been listening to Voice of the People 90.3 FM. My name is Choma Innocent on the World News. Just before we wrap up, let's take a look at the top stories again. You heard that a Gaza hospital has claimed that Israeli strike killed children queuing for supplements. Supreme Court upholds Okpebholo's victory in Edo Gubar elections. Ohanaeze confirms Tinubu Umahi in talks over Nnamdi Kanu release, and soldiers killed 24 Boko Haram terrorists in Borno State. That is a wrap on the World News at 12. My name is Choma Innocent. Please follow our social media handles at VOP903 FM for coverage of your live event and brand news mentions on our news bulletins. Do send a mail to news@voiceofthepeople.ng. Good afternoon and thank you for listening. Do stay tuned. Coming up shortly will be Matters with Solomon Ofem.